Hey there. I wanted to bring today's episode to the podcast. This is day number 1 of our holiday series. I'm really talking about the factors that influence pregnancy success. So we're talking about factors here that you can take action on right now so that you can have a plan for 2022. Excited for you to listen to this podcast episode. Hey there. I'm Sarah Clark, founder of Fertile and your host. I believe the functional approach is the first step for anyone struggling with infertility, and my aim is to help you get pregnant naturally. So today we are on day number 1 of our holiday series, and we're digging into the factors that influence healthy pregnancy and what you can do right now to improve your chances of pregnancy success. So this episode is for you is if you've already made diet and lifestyle changes, but it's still not working, you're ready to dig deeper to see what are some healing opportunities that may have been missed so you can fast track pregnancy success. And you're thinking about IVF, but you really want to get pregnant naturally so you can optimize your health and have a healthy pregnancy. Thanks so much for listening. I'm so thankful that you're here. Make sure you hit subscribe. And if you know someone else on the fertility journey, please share this podcast with them. Okay, so for the first ones we're going to be talking about today is in our holiday series are some of the factors that influence a healthy pregnancy. And so there's 5 of them that we're talking about here. And so the first one we're going to be talking about is diet. And if you listen to this podcast, you know I've talked a lot about diet and the importance of that with pregnancy. And so the first place that we start with is the elimination diet. Now, doing an elimination diet over the holiday season is probably not the best idea, but this is something for you to really strongly consider. Set a date. Typically, it might be January the 1st. So you're like, okay, through the holidays, I'm going to eat as I please. And most of us that, if you're here, most of the people that we work with, they've already made a lot of diet and lifestyle changes. So if you've already made some of those changes, continue on through the holiday season. And then, January the 1st is a time for us to dig deeper and, really fully commit to that. So as part of our couples coaching program, we have both you and your partner do an elimination diet. And it's not about, it's taking those top allergens out of your diet so that you can see how food impacts your body. Because if your body is under attack by a seemingly, even a seemingly healthy food like lettuce, it wants to survive, not procreate. So digging into the diet piece is key. We then will tweak it with food sensitivity testing. We typically will have people remove 2 of the top allergens, which are gluten and dairy, for at least 60 to 90 days. So these are things to think about. We're talking about the holiday season, but really giving you a plan for the new year of what you want to do to dig deeper and really, what are those missed healing opportunities like we talked about. So you can also, during the holiday season, you can do this right now, start focusing on fats and proteins, making sure you're getting enough healthy fats and adequate amount of protein. So that's something to look at to make, that'll help you feel satiated. And so if you have more of that fat and protein, you don't feel, the mood swings and your blood sugar going off, and which then impacts your sex hormones. So if you feel that hangry feeling a lot, I've done a lot of episodes on that with how the blood sugar then impacts sex hormones. So diet is key. Set a date that you are going to commit with this. It is not just you, it's you and your partner doing this together. And if your partner is not ready, you start by yourself. He'll come when he is ready. You can never drag someone across the finish line. He has to do it when he's ready. But typically I find most couples are both ready to make the changes and, set that healthy foundation for a baby. So many times we see that, you could be well fed if you've been on hormonal birth control, or if there's leaky gut, all those, your body's mounting immune response to foods, then you may be well fed, but malnourished. So your body's not absorbing the nutrients. We see that with testing that we do as well. And then if you've listened to this podcast too, I've talked a lot about gluten, and really we see a theme with low AMH, diminished ovarian reserve, premature ovarian insufficiency, a theme of non-celiac gluten sensitivity, where gluten is off the charts. It may have come back a false negative through celiac testing, but the conventional celiac test is only testing for about 4 proteins in gluten, and there's over 60 So there's a lot of false negatives there. So, so really with the diet piece, there's a lot to dig into that we can really uncover. And then that helps to, again, the whole idea here is how do we reduce inflammation on the body? So then your body will get into a state of wanting to procreate. So diet is key. And we use as part of our Fab Fertile method, we have access to testing. So we would use food sensitivity testing, and we may use hair tissue mineral analysis testing to dig into that deeper. But, bottom line, set the date that you're going to be making these changes. Obviously over the holiday season, enjoy yourself. If you've already made some of those diet and lifestyle changes, hang on to those. Don't, I guess the whole idea here is if you slip up, don't give up, keep going. The next one is sleep. Factors influence a healthy pregnancy. To have factors that influence the ability for your body to procreate would be sleep. So we want to make sure you're getting at least 7 to 9 hours of sleep. So 7 to 9 hours of sleep. 9 hours is best. During the holiday season, it can get super busy, especially now. You may be out seeing family and friends a little more than before. So to being able to prioritize your sleep, like really make this a priority, aim to go, we've all heard this, get up at the same time, go to bed at the same time. It really does matter though. So prioritize that. And if it's like if a choice between you exercising or you doing some other kind of staying up late, whatever it may be. But if you exercising and sleep, always choose sleep. So sleep is the foundation of good health and optimal fertility. So, get together like a sleep routine and just put it first, sleep first. And if you got that FOMO, fear of missing out, examine what's going on with that FOMO and really, make this a priority for you. So the next one we have is movement. And we see, and like with the sleep, back to the sleep piece, we work for months on sleep with couples in our couples coaching program. They could have a hard time falling asleep, a hard time waking up, feeling, waking up in the middle of the night between, 2 to 4. All of these things are clues. There's something going on in your body, be it blood sugar dysregulation and more. And we've helped people that have had, chronic, horrible sleep issues for years, literally sleeping 8 hours, 8 hours now. And lo and behold, their fertility improves and they get pregnant naturally. So sleep is massive. And if sleep is something that's off, it is definitely a sign for you to dig deeper. And it's a missed healing opportunity that conventional medicine will potentially give you a pill to say, here, let's a sleep aid, when that's just a Band-Aid approach. So the next one is movement. So we see many people, either moving too little. So, sitting on the couch all day long, not moving, or we see a lot of people like over exercising, vigorous exercise. So the whole thing is you want to limit your cardio intensity. You don't want to be at a 9 or a 10, more in kind of like the 5, 6, 7 range where, you want to get your heart going and moving, but you don't want to be so exhausted. So it's more gentle movement. You can add in weights. And the big thing on this is, how do you feel the next day? Are you tired, or do you feel invigorated? Do you feel great? Or are you using movement and maybe vigorous movement as a like a stress coping mechanism? And if we say to take that down, you're like, there's no way I could do that. So the couples we work with, it's, having an open mind. So if you're like, oh, I don't know if I could change that, that's potentially a limiting belief. And, it might be that you're using exercise to cope, and that's great. But how is it harming you by doing that? So I would look in a little bit deeper on the movement piece of either too little or too much. These are themes that we see with the couples we work with. So that is movement. And the next one we have is physical, mental and emotional stress. Obviously, going through the fertility journey in itself is, impacts all aspects of your life. It can, impacts relationships, your job, depending on how long you've been trying for. Even the moment you start trying, you may feel separate from others. There's a lot of triggers There could be jealousy, envy, anger, frustration, grief, all of this all at once. If someone hasn't been through the journey, they may not understand. And especially, and we're going to get, on later in this series, we're going to talk about how to deal with some triggers during the holiday, as far as when you're on the fertility journey. But it is really important to, first of all, acknowledge that this is hard, that, if someone hasn't been through it, they just don't understand. And so maybe some of their well-meaning comments can really actually gut you and have you feeling really, really kind of in a low point. So if that's you during the holiday season, during a little bit later in the series, I'm going to talk about some ways to help with that. But right now, as far as how this can impact, obviously mental emotional stress can then impact your sex hormones, your cortisol levels. So we always look at it typically later on in the program in our Fab Fertile method, we're looking at a Dutch test. And so we're going to be doing full blood chemistry to see what's happening with your hormones through blood. And then the Dutch test can help us see which pathways the hormones are going down. So we have access to these tests, and some of them are necessary, not all of them. So it's very personalized as to when we will bring in each test. And people get, just a caveat about the test, people get really hung up on the test because I typically work with like that type A, give me the test, give me the plan, let's roll. And we get very hung up on the test. And the tests are only the beginning. Like that's the beginning. So it gives us the roadmap so we know where to go. And it is looking at these basic things that I've just talked about, dialing in your diet. Yes, we can look at a food sensitivity test and see, what you're intolerant to, but then you still need to then make the changes. That's why having someone in your corner to help you, call you out on your own stuff, help you be accountable, can help you make those changes. Because sometimes we start to question if we even need to make them. And then with the well-fed and malnourished part, maybe you have heavy metals, maybe you're not absorbing your nutrients, the testing can help, but then we still need to make those targeted diet and lifestyle changes. The mental emotional stress of dealing with a fertility diagnosis, we need, having someone call you out on your own stuff is key, because a lot of times, and especially if you are a type A and you're like, give me the plan, and then this is what we see, where typically a type A person is like, give me the plan, I'm going to execute. So they're able to make the diet changes. They're taking the supplements, these supplements that we're recommending they're for a target amount of time. The exercise piece, they may be able to dig into. It's interesting on the mental emotional side of things. Many times people, and this is how I was like, I'm not stressed. I'm fine. Until someone actually helped me like years later, like, Sarah, you can cry, you can let this stuff out. I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm fine. But it's like that hard shell with a little soft, mushy interior. So that is equally as important as us looking at the diet, looking at the exercise, looking at the sleep, is addressing the stress. And that's why our program is mind, body, spirit. And I find the type A planner, logical, science-minded person is like, ooh, the mental emotional stuff, not sure that I really want to go there. Kind of seems like, sometimes they even say to us, I'm fine. And so I'm really encouraged to look at that piece, because it's another healing opportunity that may not have been addressed. And when you look at all of it, not all at once, because that can be overwhelming, but to be able to address that is key. So again, testing is only part of it. You need to make these, targeted diet and lifestyle changes. And, coaches on our team, we attempt to walk the talk. It is not a perfect thing here by any means, but we've all been through kind of our dark night of the soul, made the changes, and, continue to this day to stay on the path. Because once you realize how important these changes are for your health, you can't really look back. You're like, you just look at everything completely differently. And, your body is trying to tell you something. And right now it's, if you're here right now, it's impacted your fertility. So for you and I, it's impacted our fertility. But there's things you can do. So, which is really empowering. And the last one we have is supplements. So we do have, basic supplements for women and for men. Typically we're looking at a prenatal or a multi for the male partner. It's like methylated folate. You want to make sure We do omega 3s, magnesium. 85% of us are deficient in magnesium. CoQ10 for egg health, vitamin D3, K2. A lot of us, we see a lot of low vitamin D as a theme of with the couples we work with. Probiotic, and we're using a spore-based probiotic so it can survive the transition through the gut. And also all of our supplements don't have any fillers, dyes, or allergens. And many times people are taking heaps of supplements that really maybe could have allergens in them or could have other harmful products that just kind of set you back. So, so this is the first part of our holiday series. So over the next week or so, over the next 4 days, we're going to be giving you tips to help you to have a plan for 2022. So here we are. I cannot believe it. The end of 2021. And so if you are ready to fast track your chances of pregnancy success, to do the right things to get pregnant naturally, then I encourage you to apply for a Supercharge Your Fertility discovery call. And I don't want you to waste time. A lot of the times, through this year, you may have made all the, a number of changes. As I say, most people that we work with, they already made some targeted diet and lifestyle changes. They've done a lot of things. They may have already had at least one failed IVF or IUI. They may have already been trying for 2 years. And that's the criteria to work with us, is to try for 2 years naturally or had one failed IUI or IVF. So, and typically in that stage, you've done a lot of work. You already thought you had your solution. You thought if you decided to go to IVF or IUI, it was going to work, and it hasn't. So I want you to have a plan for 2022. So I encourage you to go to FabFertile, FabFertile.com, and you can click on apply for the Supercharge Your Fertility Discovery Call. This call is for you and your partner. There is an application fee, which is fully refundable and used as a credit towards the program. So there's no risk for you to booking this call. And I'll have the link in the show notes, but just go to FabFertile.com and click on apply. Take care.